Assalamu alaikum. Today I will discuss about the skeletal system of human body. The skeletal system includes the bones, cartilages and joints that form the framework of the body. The skeletal system is mostly composed of bone, a type of connective tissue that is living, dynamic and highly specialized. Bones are highly variable in their size and proportion due to a range of developmental and environmental factors such as sexual dimorphism, ethnicity and natural individual variation. The skeletal system has a number of functions including providing a structural support to the body, serves as an attachment site for muscles and ligaments, protects and supports tissues and organs, stores minerals, particularly calcium, in the body, contains bone marrow, which is the site of blood cell production. For descriptive purposes, the 206 bones of the skeletal system are divided into two parts: axial skeleton, which is composed of the bones of the head, neck, vertebral column, and thoracic cage; appendicular skeleton, which is composed of the bones of the upper and lower limbs appendages. At the gross anatomical level, there are two types of bones: compact and spongy bone. Both types share the same molecular and cellular components. However, it is the variation of porosity which separates them from each other. Compact bone or cortical bone is more solid and dense in appearance. It is mainly found in the walls of the shafts of long bones and the external surfaces of long bones. Spongy bone or cancellous or trabecular bone has a spongy or honeycomb-like appearance. This is due to the minute bony struts within the tissue known as trabeculae, which creates its porous appearances. It is mainly found in the vertebral bodies, short bones and the ends of long bones. Depending on their shape, the bones of the skeleton are categorized into 5 separate groups, including long, short, flat, irregular, and sesamoid bones. Long bones or tubular bones are those that have an elongated tubular shaft with two expanded ends, that is, femur, fibula, humerus, ulna. Short bones are those that can be of any shape but usually have similar proportions in length and width. They include all the carpal and tarsal bones. Flat bones or tubular bones are those that have a flat or slightly curved appearance, that is, scapula, ribs, and parietal bones. Sesamoid bones are those that are found embedded in tendons and joint capsules. They are small and rounded in shape. For example, patella. Irregular bones are those that do not belong to any of the other groups and are completely non-uniform in shape, that is, vertebra, mandible, and hyoid. All bones of the human body have defining features which differentiate them from each other. These bony features can be characterized in terms of parts, surfaces, and landmarks. Now, we step by step see the structures of a cross section of a bone. First of all, this is the fibrous layer of the periosteum. Look, this is the fibrous layer of the periosteum highlighting green. This is the fibrous layer of the periosteum. If we zoom in the model, then we see clearly the fibrous layer of the periosteum. Periosteum is a specialized connective tissue covering all bones of the body in adults. It consists of two layers that are not sharply defined. The external fibrous layer being a network of dense connective tissue containing blood vessels, and the internal osteogenic layer composed of more loosely arranged collagenous bundles with spindle-shaped connective tissue cells, osteogenic precursor cells, and a network of thin elastic fibers. Structure and morphology of periosteum. The fibrous layer of periosteum is the outermost enveloping layer of the bone. It consists of dense regular connective tissue containing fibrous cells dispersed among an organized framework of collagen fibers. It may contain some elastic fibers, however, not as much as the osteogenic layer. Also found within the fibrous layer, the periosteum are several blood and lymphatic vessels, as well as nerves, mainly sensory. These form plexuses before branching into the underlying compact bone below via perforating canals, also known as Volkmann's canals. Anatomic relations. The fibrous layer of the periosteum covers the entire bone except for its articular surfaces and areas of muscle attachment. This is in contrast to the osteogenic layer of periosteum, which can be discontinuous around the metaphysis of the bone. Fibers of tendons, ligaments, and fascia attach to the fibrous layer of periosteum before extending further in the compact bone. Function of the fibrous layer of the periosteum. The fibrous layer of the periosteum provides mechanical strength to the periosteum, which in turn provides considerable support to the bone. It also assists in transmission of mechanical forces produced by a muscular contraction across a greater area of the bone. The fibrous layer of the periosteum has an integral role in the maintenance of bone structure by means of the vasculature and nerves which it transmits to the underlying bone. Due to the presence of sensory receptors, the fibrous layer of periosteum is the most pain-sensitive area of bone, which can be caused by a number of factors including trauma and osteoarthritis. In addition, the periosteum is thought to play a major role in the bone healing process by providing cells to the site of injury. Lists of clinical correlates: periostitis or periosteal reaction. Now we will go to the next layer after the fibrous layer of the periosteum. So we remove this fibrous layer of the periosteum. Now we clearly see the periosteal vessels. Now we can see clearly the periosteal vessels. This is the periosteal artery. There is an extensive network of periosteal vessels along the entire length of a bone shaft. They are capable of supplying up to 1/3 of the outer compact bone. Structure or morphology. Osseous blood flow is described as the centrifugal, radiating from the central medullary cavity towards the external cortical bone via the nutritional artery, or centripetal, radiating inward from the external periosteum via periosteal arterioles. The centripetal flow accounts for the flow of blood from the periosteum into the outer 1/3 of the cortical bone. These vessels enter the outer 1/3 of the cortex and anastomose with the medullary system within the perforating canals. They lie in their respective perforating canals and anastomose with their medullary counterparts to form a rich microvascular network inside cortical bone. Anatomic relations. The periosteum has an intrinsic network of vessels that are derived from adjacent soft tissue such as the musculoperiosteal and fascioperiosteal plexuses from nearby muscles and fascial planes. These vessels form an arterial network and provide intrinsic blood supply to the periosteum. This network lies between the two periosteal layers. The terminal branches of the intrinsic periosteal arterial network extend directly into the underlying cortical bone. Function of the periosteal vessels. The periosteal artery supplies blood to the periosteum and outer 1/3 of the cortex. In the central canals of the external osteons. The periosteal arteries anastomose with the medullary arteries, forming a periosteocortical anastomosis. This anastomosis represents a direct connection between the periosteal blood and blood from the nutrient foramen. This is uh, this is pertinent for the survival of the outer cortex when medullary blood supply is diminished or blocked. So we clearly know we have clearly know the periosteal arteries, and now this is the periosteal vein. Periosteal veins follow the same course as the periosteal arteries. Periosteal veins arise from the microvascular network in the cortical bone and form efferent venules which course towards the periosteum and drain into the periosteal venous network. Anatomical relations. In cortical bone, periosteal veins follow the same course as the periosteal arteries. As we see in the diagram, within the perforating canals and form venous plexus between the two layers of the periosteum. We can clearly see this is the periosteal vessels, the periosteal arteries and veins, and they are lie between the two layers of the periosteum, that is fibrous layer of the periosteum and the osteogenic layer of the periosteum. Functions of periosteal vein. Periosteal veins drain blood from the outer one-third of the cortical bone and periosteum. And now we see another structure lying here, that is the periosteal nerves. There we can see that periosteal nerves and lymphatic channels. The yellow structure is indicating the periosteal nerves, which are mostly sensory, and the green structures are indicating the lymphatic drainage of the bones. Now the next layer below the outer fibrous periosteum, this is the osteogenic layer of the periosteum. So the inner osteogenic layer of the periosteum is populated with mesenchymal progenitor cells, which can differentiate into osteoprogenitor cells. The osteoprogenitor cells, under the appropriate stimuli, may become osteoblasts when there is no active bone formation. Osteoblast cells are flat and have spindle-like nuclei, but upon activation they appear cuboidal. All cells of the osteogenic layer sit in a loose connective tissue layer containing many fibroblasts. The osteogenic layer is well vascularized and has abundant innervation. Here we see the innervation, the yellow structure indicating the nerves. So the osteogenic layer of the periosteum has abundant innervation.